is Lugardowski here in New York City, and I met up with one of my favorite journalists, Charlie Skelton of the London Guardian. Charlie, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. Very tired, but very well.
You're very tired as well. Long, exhausting days here. And I have to say, you are my favorite journalist because you have the courage to actually talk about the Bilderberg Group. What has made you want to talk about the Bilderberg Group?
Well, the absence of anyone else talking about it, really. And, you know, I'm not really from the London Guardian. I occasionally write for them. You know, I'm a freelancer, and I just, you know, I'm gratified that I've got a place to be able to write about it in a mainstream little corner of the mainstream press, and you know, there's not much of the mainstream press gives it a fair hearing.
Yeah, and I was very surprised because we never hear anything about the Bilderberg Group in the mainstream media, and for this to be in the London Guardian, I mean, that's just huge. And I remember reading those articles were very well written. All the details were there. You were there in Switzerland. We actually missed each other, I think, only by a couple of hours. How was Switzerland?
Expensive.
Yeah.
Probably the most expensive bad food I've ever bought in my life, but as an experience, it was great. It were, you know, they've been the last few years, the atmosphere at, you know, outside the Bilderberg meetings has been getting better. There's more people there. There's the relationship between guerrilla journalists, so we call them alternative media, and the security detail and the police that are there is getting better, and everything just seems to be gradually just sort of rising up towards the surface, and everyone's being a bit. When I look back sort of 3 years ago, it was terrifying in Greece, and it was the atmosphere was horrific, very oppressive, and now it's starting to, you know, drip, starting to just be a thing you can talk about. It
was very doom and gloom, and I remember the food. It was horrible. It was like 60 euros a plate for nothing, and it was. I was starving there. I was like a hungry Ethiopian kid in there, and I remember. I do agree, but we did have a major victory in Switzerland. On that Friday, we had one of the representatives, one of the parliament members, actually write a letter after hearing that we were harassed because I was followed by the police. We were harassed. I was threatened to be arrested, deported. They took away my passport for a while just for reporting on there, and then our local parliament member wrote a letter to the police department saying, respect freedom of the press, do not harass these guys. Right. And now every time we came up with our video cameras to the Bilderberg conference, before the letter, they would just jump on us and threaten us. We had that letter. I said, I don't know what you're saying, but you better read this letter here. And they actually let us be there. So we had a huge victory. So things are changing for the positive. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, that sounds like it. I mean, that just shows me I'm just spouting platitudes saying that it's been so much easier. In fact, you had quite a hard time until that came, you know, so, you know, yeah, so I should get my facts straight, is what it sounds like.
No, it's getting better and better, and the relationship between the police and the people are getting better because people are recognizing this. It's not a big taboo subject anymore, and with your help, we're making it into the mainstream media, which it should be because it's been denied for how long that this group doesn't even exist. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
When you go, I mean, it's slightly surreal that an important historical movement, you know, or whatever you'd call them, you know, this think tank. You know, for want of a better word, which, you know, has existed since the early 50s and has had a part to play in the history of Western Europe, a significant part to play, and yet we've reached a point, or certainly had, where simply talking about it made you a crank and a crackpot, rather than, I would say, a historian maybe. Yeah. But, you know, I find that genuinely perplexing.
Yeah. And I thank you for having the courage to cover it on such a great length. Now, you're here in New York City. What are you doing here in New York City during the 9/11 weekend?
Well, I just came for the shopping. Turns out it's the 10th anniversary of 9/11. I mean, you know, who'd have thought? Yeah. I'm just here. I'm seeing what's what. I think it's the most important place to be in the world this weekend. So I'm here really, and you know, talking to some people. I'll be holding the microphone to you in a minute because you know far more. I mean, this is not a subject that's, you know, anything I would say I know much about. But, you know, again, it's a similar taboo within the mainstream media, and maybe I'm just allergic to those taboos.
And it's a good allergy, I have to say, because when I go up to politicians, ask them questions about the Bilderberg Group, they run away. And when I did the same this week with Larry Silverstein, Thomas Keane, Lee Hamilton, a part of the 9/11 Commission about 9/11, they acted the same way. So there is something that they're hiding, and it's up to great journalists like yourself to expose it, and I thank you again for exposing it. Anything else you'd like to say?
Just on the subject of hiding, and I've written about this, but I always find it extraordinary to see grown men and women hiding behind things and ducking down on the back seat of limousines and swooping past at high speed lest they be seen. And I was just thinking, what are you doing? Yeah. Are you behaving like what might you you're not even being an adult, let alone any kind of leader of the community or business leader, social leader, whatever you want to call yourself. Just grow up. Is what whenever I see them sort of hiding behind the Financial Times or something, and then I just think, grow up.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, God bless you. Thank you so much for all your work, brother.
I really think the war on terror is a bunch of bullshit. Just a poor excuse for you to use up all your bullets. How much money does it take to really make a full clip? 9/11 Building 7, did they really pull it? And a bunch of other cover-ups.